Do you ever find yourself being triggered by someone or something outside of your control? Are you somebody who is normally calm, serene, you've got it all together, and yet for some reason there's a particular topic or an issue or maybe even a person who has the ability to just touch a nerve with you every time, and you just suddenly find yourself feeling irrational, irritated, angry, injustice, all sorts of things like that. So you just find yourself being utterly triggered by this topic of conversation or this particular person or this theme of what's going on online. Because I'm here to tell you today that being triggered is actually a choice. Now, ironically, I think triggered and being triggered, oh my God, I've just done air quotes. Being triggered is one of today's really trendy topics. It's a little bit like, you'll see things all over social media about imposter syndrome. And before you know it, everybody you speak to has got imposter syndrome. Well, I think triggered is kind of similar. We see the topic of feeling triggered on social media a lot, and then I think people almost latch onto that and think, well, I'm triggered, I must be triggered, everybody's triggered. But actually the whole concept of being triggered is a choice. And not only is it a choice, but actually being triggered is incredibly ineffective for you. It's actually a massive waste of energy and focus. There's nothing positive about being triggered. All it incites and creates for you are negative emotions. But what it also does is it puts you in the position of being a victim, because it makes you angry or annoyed or frustrated at what somebody else is doing. And that puts you in a position where you have no power in that situation at all. Your focus on this other person is actually gifting them your energy and your focus. They're the person that somehow has now taken charge of your emotions and your focus. So you become a powerless victim in this state of being triggered. But what can you do about it? Now, let me be absolutely clear about this. I am not suggesting that with the click of a finger, you can just choose never to be triggered, particularly if you're somebody that finds yourself easily or regularly triggered. However, you absolutely are somebody that can work towards, over time, choosing to be significantly less triggered than you are right now, which means you get to be more positive, more in control of your emotions, more focused. You're the person that's choosing your fate and choosing your mood. So here are a few things to think about. The first thing to bear in mind is that you can never control other people's actions. You can't control circumstances and situations and the stuff that goes on in the world and the things that people say. You are absolutely powerless in trying to control any of that. But the one thing that you have the power to choose is the way that you respond. You've got a lifetime of instinctive behaviour, so you can't change that overnight. But by asking yourself some simple questions and just thinking more about your responses, you can change this over time. So next time you feel yourself being triggered or incited by something that you see and you're frustrated by that response, ask yourself, how do I want to respond here? How would I like to respond? And just by continually asking yourself that question, you'll start to naturally move yourself into that style of response. So that will start to change things for you. But also ask yourself, what positive action can I take here? So if you're really peed off by a particular issue, maybe something that happens in your industry, something that you think is unscrupulous, that's a posh word, isn't it? Something that you think is underhand, is immoral or anything like that. What positive action can you take? Because you can rant about it, but is that a positive thing? You can go online and tell everyone how triggered you are. Is that making a change? Is that helping you? Is that doing anything to help to change the situation? So instead, ask yourself, what positive action can I take here? And it might be that you could write an article, a post, something for your website, about the opposite to this situation. You could actually help to educate people about the moral way that your industry can work, or you can share tips and advice on how not to be hoodwinked by the immoral people or whatever it is. But think about what positive action you can take, and that puts you back into a position of power. And then lastly, think about, am I doing enough to share what I really care about? Because if you talk openly about things that are important to you, things that motivate you, things that fire you up, if you regularly talk about those things in a positive way, then you're much less likely to feel triggered by the people who talk about doing things in the different way. Because a lot of the time, this feeling of being triggered is something in your heart of hearts telling you that you're hanging on to your opinions or emotions about this, and that actually you should be more vocal about how to do things in the right way. It's often about a clash of values. So if you can be more open about your values and about what's really important to you, that will also help you to feel less triggered. So hopefully some little tips in there to help you move from being triggered and angry and annoyed and feeling out of control to moving yourself back into a position of power where you get to choose what you focus on and you get to choose how to respond. I hope that has been insightful for you. Hopefully there's something in there that might just give you a bit of food for thought about your own responses to situations or topics that tend to drive you slightly crazy. If you need a little more inspiration on this, then please do get in touch with me and let's have a chat about what triggered you and how you can choose to be calm and serene in the future instead.